Hello and welcome to Happy Hour, Monk and Lou's Happy Hour. You know what that means. It is 5 p.m. on a Friday. Your freaking work week is done. Now it's time to do that research in order for you to make that money on the weekends, baby. It's me, the MonkMMATician, aka Monk, and Lou Betya at Lou Betya on Twitter. I'm doing fantastic. Looking forward to a pretty banger card for a non-pay-per-view. Lou, what do you think about this card, and how are you doing?
Who cares about this card? Let's get to the important thing.
Yeah.
At 20-1. 20-1. The yam bag shot hit last week.
You did it. He did it, folks.
And
yam
it didn't
bags,
hit
baby.
by a shot to the yam bags. It took multiple eye pokes. But I don't give a shit. It hit. All right. That's out of the way. This is a great card. This is some really tight matchmaking. If you look at these lines, tons of lines under minus 200. I mean, the main event, a couple, it's funny that the last three fights are some of the heavier lines, but excuse me. A lot of really close in line fights, a lot of traps out there. And this is going to be a prop party for what I got planned for this card. I got tons of like plus 1,000 bets or higher that are sticking out to me. And before I do that, let me do the quick betting recap from last week. It was, aside from the yam bags, it was okay. Look, J-Check, those eye pokes didn't help.
No,
he was looking all right in the first, but it happens. I had Ludovic Klein under 2.5 and in the distance. I don't know how the hell that fight went decision, but didn't get anything on that one. Tim Elliott fight goes the distance. That's a win. So I didn't care about the
yeah,
judging.
baby. We both picked Tim Elliott.
Nurma, whatever Rogan called him. Round one sub. That was nice for plus 375. My simp bet of Maria Agapova, not so good. I knew it the second the fight started. I'm like, this is a loss. The Nchukwu over 1.5 hit. They would not let me parlay the over 1.5 with the yam bag special, but it's all right. MMA Asphalt was talking to me during the fights, and like every time there was an eye poke, I'm like just screaming in his Twitter. I'm like, take the point.
There were a few of them where I was even starting to scream, like, what is going on here?
My buddies said,
bag.
My buddies were all watching it together at a party, and they were like, all we were thinking about is like, because my one guy's on my Twitter, he's like losing his mind. He's like screaming at the ref. Spivak and go back a few. I had Rodriguez in a parlay with Covington money lines that hit dicey, but it hit.
Very.
And also a yam bag shot in that fight. So I was very happy, boy. J.M. Millarkey, that was just an absolutely terrible bet.
Oof.
It's a terrible bet. Spivak in the distance hit, under 2.5 hit. I did have the round 2 sub. That did not hit. And I had a yam bag shot in that one. Hardy was just not good enough to last long enough to cheat. So
can we stop him on pay-per-view cards now? Can we stop doing that?
From an editorial perspective, I hope that's the last we see of Greg Hardy in the UFC. I'm done with that guy. Holland in the distance hit, sub props lost. I had Edson Barboza money line finish only, which, props to Mitchell, man. He looked like an absolute world beater, but
yeah, he did.
The bet was a push, so it's all right. RDA in the distance. Less said about that bet, the better. I'm pretty sure everybody on MMA Twitter is feeling my pain on that one. And then I had Covington money line in the play with Rodriguez, and I had the round 5 decision prop at minus 150, which hit. So not a bad night at the office. The one bet I cared about the most hit, and let's see if we can do it 2 weeks in a row.
Exactly. So with that, let's get right into it. We'll keep it rolling. First fight of the night, UFC Vegas 50 this Saturday, March 12th. Tafon Nchukwu going against newcomer Azamat Murzakanov. I'll go ahead and start this one because I do not have a ton to say about this. Murzakanov, $8,800. That is a super cursed salary on DraftKings. It is one of the worst. In fact, it is the worst favorite salary to play. So anything over 8,200. It is statistically the worst. Does not make the optimal lineup hardly at all. Murzakanov, if you put DraftKings scoring on him, he would have been a world beater, 4.53 points per minute, over 100 in his win. Nchukwu in his 2 wins, over 103 points per minute and points per minute, 103 points per win and almost 4 points per minute. So, some pretty prolific scorers here as far as pace or work rate, however you want to talk about that. The light heavyweight weight class makes the optimal lineup 45.65% of the time. It is the second worst weight class statistically to play for DraftKings, with one fighter coming out of that fight, like I said, making it less than 50% of the time. First fight of the night, 46% of the time. So I'm probably not going to be playing much of this one, not just because of those two things, but I think this one's going to go to decision. Tafon has scored well in decisions in the past, 103.34 points on average in both of his. I just think Murzakanov might be able to take him down here. It could just be kind of a stalemate type of fight. I will be rostering a little bit of both sides, but probably well below the 20% mark as far as that, especially Murzakanov. I hate that salary. What do you got for this one, Lou?
I don't have a lot on the, I told you guys I'm going to have a ton of props for this card, and this is the one fight where I have like no interest. I think Nchukwi's tough. He's durable, but he's kind of limited, and I'm not so high on Murzakanov like everybody else is. I mean, he beat his Contender Series fight. I wasn't impressed with his opponent. He had a suspension before that. He headhunts with his punches. I mean, he's got power, but it seems like he's limited, and his takedowns aren't great. If you're going to play this fight, I kind of like as a parlay piece. I like the over 1.5. It's minus 160. It's reasonable. Fight goes the distance is plus 140, but that's tricky. I mean, you want to start your day off right. I think the over 1.5 is in play, but I don't really have much interest in this fight. Like, if you're going to take a side, maybe Azamat. I don't know, man. I think it's going to be kind of slow and plodding. I think if Azamat gets the wrestling going, maybe he wins a decision. But I think there are better fights to target with my lunacy than this one. I need to see more of Azamat before, and his wrestling especially, before I really kind of sign off on him.
For sure. And also, we got 3 DWCS fighters on this card. I mean, I think Fletcher has a shot. I know how we both feel about Javid at this point. Are we thinking that 3 out of 3 Dana White Contender Series fighters are going to win their UFC debuts? I mean, possibly, but I'm more comfortable saying 2 out of 3.
Well, when we get to Javid, it's going to be, I'm going to have a lot more to say about that fight. Spoiler alert. I'm going to have a lot more to say about that.
Well, before that one, we have to talk about Guido Conetti, 42 years old. My goodness, going up against everyone's favorite fighter for some reason, Chris Moutinho. It's not green hair, don't care anymore. It is bright red hair, don't care. Right. Bantamweight fight. Guido Conetti, $7,600. Typically not a great DraftKings score. In fact, in the UFC, he is 2-5. I'm not quite sure how he even accumulated that record and is still getting UFC fights, but here we are, 2-5, 2.71 points per minute, only 68 points when he wins, and he gets outscored per minute as well, and you're paying over his average salary. You're up $240 for this 4.64 value average on the card. Not a great play. Even if you think he's going to beat Moutinho, what's he going to score? 68, 69 points? I mean, at 7,600, you'd like to see a finish to make the optimal lineup, but I mean, Sean O'Malley didn't finish Chris Moutinho. I'm not going to say couldn't. I'm going to choose to say didn't. And this week he is $8,600, the favorite salary. So he takes 55 strikes per minute in his first UFC fight, and now he's a favorite against a 42-year-old. I don't know what is happening here in this fight all around. But Moutinho, 1.94 points per minute is all he got in that O'Malley fight. You're paying almost $2,000 more than he was against Sean O'Malley. He has an even worse value than Guido Conetti does. I don't see how. I mean, how do you want to play this for DraftKings? The terrible thing is, the tragedy of it all is the $7,600 and $8,600 salary is my absolute favorite salaries to play. They make the optimal lineup at a fantastic rate. I don't know what to do about this fight. I think it's probably going decision. I don't know if Guido's going to win, but I'm going to be well under the field on my 2 favorite salaries this week, and it really pains me to say that. I mean, I guess when you have to look at their losing stats more than their winning stats. I mean, Guido has given up over 100 points in 3 of his 5 losses. I mean, Moutinho gave up 150 against O'Malley, so could the winner score well over 100 here? Possibly, but I'm not going to take that chance. I think it's a stalemate fight. I'm going to be well under the field here for DraftKings. What do you got as far as betting lines for this one. I bet you're all over the place.
So, well, let's get to, I know he's Argentinian, but like, you give me a 40-year-old guy with an Italian name, I'm interested. Also,
like it.
if your name is Chris and you spell it with a K, I don't like you. It's horrible. Stop it. Change your name. It's
so
terrible.
Just the name math here says Conetti's going to smash this.
So,
what was that famous Godfather line? Leave the gun, take the Conetti. Take the fucking Conetti, baby.
So I already have the phone number programmed in my phone because I am completely betting this, and I got it bet 2 ways. I feel like, so there's this, like narrative that Matinho is the toughest guy in the world because of one fight where O'Malley just beat him up. Okay, so look at Matinho's past fights against guys who are not even at the level of Guido Conetti. Okay, knocked out by Johnny Campbell in the second, knocked out by Gravely in the fourth. Okay, that's a respectable loss. He's better than Conetti.
Mm-hmm.
Choked out in the first against David Garcia, and I watched that fight, and he got knocked down. That led into the choke. So, and then a first round choke loss to Brandon Saylor Sr. So, and he has wins in the second and third round too. Like, he doesn't go to decision very often. But again, this guy is hittable. He's there to be hit. He's there to be, I know why Eric's saying that. He's there to be hit. He's been finished tons of times. Conetti's win condition here is round 1 knockout. Because if it goes past the first, he's probably shot. His round 1 KO prop is 12-1 against a guy who I just don't think is very good. And Conetti's not going for subs. He's going for looping bombs. Now, there's an accumulation of damage that happens over time. Just because he took a lot of punches, like people are looking at this like, well, if he took all this from O'Malley, what's Conetti going to do to him? It doesn't work that way. That's not how this game works. And I like the plus 1200 as a small stab. Like, don't go crazy with it. But I really, unlike you with the going distance, I like the under 2.5 because if Conetti doesn't get him out of there in the first, he's done. He's shot. Matinho is the killer be killed guy. Coutinho looked like the few times he got to throw punches against O'Malley, like he was walking him down. I mean, he was getting smashed, but he was walking him down. And if Conetti's off for nothing after the end of the first round, I think Matinho is just going to piece him up. So under 2.5 is plus 105. I like those odds. I think this fight, I think you could play them both. Yeah, you don't want to wait 2 fights without having a plus 1,000 or better bet. Like, terrible. What are we?
I mean, yeah, what are we even doing here at that point?
No. I don't have a show. We don't have a show anymore at that point.
Yeah. The only thing I'm noticing about Conetti's numbers, if you can see all this red right here, he is 0-4 in the UFC in fights that don't go to decision. So, yeah, he's going to have to pull. I mean,
he might be 0-5. That's why I like the
he
under.
might be.
Or he might be. I mean, I definitely think first round knockouts in play. And like I said, he'll be an honorary Italian in my household if he pulls it off.
Hey.
And I forgot to say, so at the end of the show, I will do the crazy ass bets, but the Conetti knockouts in one of them.
Well, shit. Mark it down, folks.
I have too many of these in like the 2 crazy parlays that I'll just do it I'll pull up my action and do it at the end. And as always, I will post it on my Twitter page.
At Lou Betya on Twitter.
Lou's ridiculous gambles.
Next, third fight of the night, Cody Brundage, the world beater. Cody Brundage going against Dalcha Lungiambula. This one is at middleweight. Let's see. I don't know who started, so why don't you go ahead and start off this one here?
So this is a tricky fight. I'm just not a fan of Dalcha at all. I know he looks like just an absolute, like, he looks amazing, but he doesn't have great cardio, and he's got one trick. He's got looping bombs. Another guy that throws he doesn't throw a lot of straight punches. He just throws a lot of looping shots. And if he hits you, Brundage looked, I mean, on short notice, looked all right against Maximov. I mean, Maximov is proving to be a relentless, like, that is a style that's going to trouble a lot of people, especially if you're coming in on short notice. That style is going to just be like, you want to face Malkoun on 2 days, like 3 days? No. He's just going to get ragdolled. Like, and that's what Maximov did. But I thought in the third round, Brundage looked pretty good. And Brundage has a college wrestling background. I think if Brundage gets his wrestling going, which I don't think is a big if, he can gas Dalcha very easily here. So I took Brundage plus 110. I took his sub prop at plus 650 because it's going to be in play once. I have the round 2 sub at 18-1 because I think after one round, if Brundage gets one takedown in the first, Dalcha is going to have nothing in the second.
Right.
He's going to have nothing. And Brundage has subs on his record. He has wrestling. The neck will be there. I think at 18-1 for the round 2 sub, I love it. I think the 650 for the sub is good, but I think he's going to, and worst case scenario, you have the plus 110 on Brundage. I think you ragdolls him. Like the worst case scenario is going to just hold him down for 3 rounds. I don't think if it goes to the third, I can't imagine Dalcha he might just verbally tap. Like he might have no energy left. So that's how I'm siding with it from betting perspective. I don't know what you're doing here for DFS, but if you believe anything I said, then there's one angle.
Yeah, and I kind of do. So I mean, I'll probably be fading both guys in general, but the guy I'll be focusing more on in the fade is probably Cody Brundage. He's cheaper salary. Like you said, Dalcha has about 1 round of gas. To this point, Cody has been finished by KO TKO 1 time in his career. It's out of 8 fights. So I don't like either side of this, to be completely honest. Brundage in his 1 fight, I mean, it was against Maximov where he got completely suffocated by takedown attempts nonstop. Just spammed 1.39 points per minute. That's all he was able to get off on Maximov. I think he'll be able to do a little bit more here. Maybe at least show part of his game, as he was unable to do that, except like you alluded to, maybe in the 3rd round a little bit of that Maximov fight. But yeah, I don't have much to say about this. Lungiambula under 3 points per minute as far as DraftKings goes. When he wins in his 2 fights, only 86 points per win. How has he been finishing? Yeah, he's got a knockout win over Townsend in his UFC debut. Got knocked out in the next fight by our main event fighter, Ankalaev. Beat Marcus Perez by decision, only 65 points in that fight. Lost to Marc-Andre Barrio by decision. I just think this one kind of goes longer longer than it would. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think this one goes to decision more often than it finishes inside the distance. So I'll be playing Brundage a little bit, probably a fade on both guys in general, though. I'm not super excited, if you can tell by the tone of my voice.
I want to address this comment. So the stats, there's only ever been 4 takedowns against him. So he's stopped 3 of the 4. But if you look at who he's fighting, he's not fighting wrestlers. I mean, Brundage is going to be a pure wrestler in this. The game plan is wrestling here. So unless I'm looking at the wrong Dalcha.
No, you're right. Yeah, he's only 4 attempts.
So I mean, the thing is like I like 75%. Like I get it, but if you look at his opponents, he's literally never faced a guy who's gonna try to spam takedowns and make it a wrestling match. So we'll see. I do not like his cardio historically. So I think if Brundage comes this way, and this is look, we're gonna see him on a full camp. So, but his cardio looked great against Maximov, and that is on short notice. That is saying something. So
he is a bit bigger. He is a bit
sorry, Daz.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. He is 3 inches taller than Lungiambula, but the shorter reach. So he's going to have to watch out, like you said, for those looping punches. But I think, like you said, again, he's going to try to play the inside game here.
You guys are going to notice a theme with how many subs I think are going to happen on this card too, because it's not even me reaching. I just see a lot of submissions that are potential. This might be the record for the way I see some of these fights playing out. But so you'll either win huge or you're gonna hate me.
Hopefully it's the first one. God damn it.
I mean, if you hate me, you hate me. But like, if you hit like 1 or 2 of these props, you're up for the night. So
there you go. And you can root for the 1 or 2 and then hate him for the rest of them and still be up money. So you're all good. It's a win-win. Next fight. I kind of like this fight. Sabina Mazo going against Miranda Maverick, one of the worst nicknames in the history of the sport. What are we doing here? Get out of my face with that. Sabina Mazo, $6,800. I absolutely, I'm not going to say love. I do like this play a lot as an underdog play this week. I think she is severely undervalued, and Miranda Maverick is being severely overvalued. $9,400. She's got the 2nd highest salary on the card. I think that's $100 more than Casey O'Neill was against Roxanne Modafferi. So let that just sink in for a minute. Mazo, one of the higher DraftKings scores on the entire card, 3.42 points per minute, 5th best out of all the fighters I rank on the card. which is 20 out of the 28 fighters. 105 points when she wins, and that's over 3 wins. Guys, she is doing it big over here, and she's $1,700 less than her average salary of $8,500. I mean, Miranda Maverick over here, she does score very well when she wins, still less than Mazo, to be noted. 104.2 points in her 2 wins, only 2.69 points a minute, so not too much of a pace put on. I mean, Mazo scores almost 0.75 points more per minute than Maverick does. Mazo scoring well over 100 points in her decision wins. I mean, 125, 107 when she got a sub. I love that she has a little bit of takedown game as well. She has put up takedown points, 0.24 points per minute, 0.3 points of control time per minute, and a very large striking pace, 2.77 per minute. Miranda Maverick, I know a lot of that was against Blanchfield, but she has shown vulnerability to being taken down, giving up 1.65 points per minute just between takedowns and control time, I should say. I sneakily like Sabina Mazo to take this to decision. I love her for cash. I think she's going to put up a good score even in a loss. I think that's a possibility. And I really think she has a chance to win this fight against Maverick. She's the much taller fighter. She has the much longer reach, 5-inch reach advantage. They're both 24 years old. This one could be a sneaky little fight here. What do you think about this? Am I speaking crazy, or do you like Sabina Mazo at all?
I don't like this fight as a whole. If I had to, the Maverick round 3 decision prop is -150. It's not hard, or it was -170, which isn't bad. But the problem here is if you look at Maverick's last 2 fights. Okay, I personally think she got robbed against Barber, but either way, very when your opponent's coach in the first round says try to hit her, it means she probably lost the round, and that's what happened. That's what Faber was yelling at her in the first round. Now, Blanchfield is looking like she's going to be a champion sooner than later. So not a good look for Maverick, but Blanchfield is very good. Now, this is a huge step down. So it feels to me like a get-right fight is being scheduled for Maverick, but it doesn't always work out that way. Mazo got subbed by Agapova.
Yeah, that's not.
Which there's just, I can't get past that. Agapova is not subbing anybody. So it's hard for me to get past that. I will not get to the pay window on this one, but if you have to play it, I mean, I guess Maverick's a parlay piece, but man, I don't like the price. I would just rather lay off this completely. And the thing is I even think Maverick does have finishing. She has submission upside here. Mazo, if it stays on the feet for 15 minutes, Mazo's got a shot. And and to your point, for her price, I think the line shouldn't be as wide as it is, but I have no interest on a time prop or a side here. I'm just going to, get a nice root beer or a nice, some kind of soda.
Barley pop.
Sure.
But yeah, let's see. I am seeing this comment here. I don't know if you showed it, but I just saw the steps at Red Rocks. I was literally just talking to my girlfriend about that yesterday. And now just seeing the steps at Red Rocks being typed out makes me extremely tired. If you don't know, it's like walking up a mountain, literally.
I'm going to address this. I did watch the weigh-ins today. Or look scared? No. First of all, I don't think that matters.
Scared AF.
Yeah, I don't worry about that in handicap in a fight. What they do in those 2 seconds. I would say this, but I didn't think Matinho looked good on the scales. I thought he looked kind of like something about his body language was off. But and I would be terrified looking at Dalch's face too. I mean, that guy just looks like $1 million, man.
He really does. Damon Jackson going against Kamuela Kirk. I'll go ahead and start this one off here. I am going to be heavy on the Damon Jackson side, and I'm going to have about 0% of Kamuela Kirk in my lineups. I love how Damon Jackson scores over 3 points a minute, only 85 per win. That's because he has such a low score in a submission win. When he wins by unanimous decision, we're in the triple digits and well over 112.52 on average. He does not score a ton of striking points, as you would expect. He is a grapple-heavy fighter, but almost scoring 1.60 points per minute just in takedowns and control time. Look over here to the Kamuela Kirk side. These 2 numbers, if you can see where my cursor is, 1.67 opponent takedown points per minute and 0.82 control time points allowed per minute. That's like 2.59, something like that. It's a shitload of points allowed on the ground. And I know this is only a 1-fight sample size, and it was against Makwan Amirkhani, but is Damon Jackson is he really that much of a different fighter than how Amirkhani fights? I mean, a grapple heavy guy that wants to take you down nonstop and just improve position and get that submission. Kirk, very low volume in that fight that he won, scoring only 58 points in his win, 1.89 points a minute. I'm not interested in that whatsoever. I will have Kirk in 0 lineups. I like Damon Jackson to win this fight and have a good chance to make the optimal, especially if he can control, a round and a half and land a few takedowns. He has fought one time since January 1st of last year, and that fight did make the optimal lineup. I think that was the Charles Rosa fight where he got cut open. He got kind of beat up, and he fought through it, came out with a win, and made the optimal lineup. So I'm big on the Leech this weekend. What are you thinking here?
That's funny that he got busted open, because when Billy Q posted some tweet about Rosa calling him out, and I'm like, this guy just got his ass kicked. Like, you don't need to fight him. And then Rosa immediately posted the tweet of Jackson's bloody face. And I was like, all right. So
fair.
But this is a weird fight. So like I make the argument that, let's start with Kirk. I make the argument that he didn't win against Mr. Finland. Now, he took that fight on short notice, but Mr. Finland's cardio is I mean, I don't care if he took a short notice. His cardio is awful, like legendarily bad at this point.
Yeah.
And the fact that it went that far is weird. That's all we have to really go on Kirk other than regional stuff. I mean, he's looked okay. His striking is decent, but Jackson is like a bulldog. And I just want to tell a quick story about like how why I love Damon Jackson. So when he made his debut in the UFC against Betya, I was over with the boys and I had a few sodas that night. And I was just making like a crazy bet on the next fight. And I swore Damon Jackson was somebody that was not Damon Jackson. So I was like, cool, I love my bet in underdog price.
Mistaken identity, you mean?
And then Damon Jackson comes out and he's like some, bald white guy. And I'm like, fuck, dude. It's like, fuck, man. And I was betting in like Bitcoin. So like, of course I had the wrong decimal. And I'm like, shit, man, I just ruined my night. And then like, sure enough, like he comes through in the third with a sub. And I was like, knew it the whole time with Damon Jackson. I like his style. I mean, he's so, you have to have very good cardio and you have to have good grappling. If you do, you beat Jackson. I mean, there's ways to beat him. I don't know that Kirk has that. I don't know that Kirk, I mean, if he gets a reversal here and there, okay, but Jackson's going to be on him and suffocate Kirk to where he doesn't get striking. So I like Jackson to win money line. I think it was -115 last time I looked. I like his sub prop at +400 because he's not getting a knockout. And again, why not play the round 3 sub here? You tire him out, and round 3 subs +2,000.
Jesus.
I mean, Jackson has at least one I just talked about in the UFC, and I'm pretty sure when I looked at his record, he does have.
He's got 14 wins by sub in his career.
Yeah, and he has some. Well, a lot of his are round 2 on the regional scene, but there's no reason he can't tire him out and get a round 2 or round 3 sub. The round 3 sub at 20-1, very much in play as far as I'm concerned. The argument's going to be, well, he couldn't finish Charles Rosa. Okay, I get it.
Rosa also is a pretty big sub guy. I mean, I know Kirk has 6 wins by sub as well, but
I think Jackson's path to victory is the grappling, and I think he just wears on people so much that late sub is very much in play. So the sub at 400, the round 3 sub at +2,000,
and that would make
all in play for me.
That would make me super happy for DraftKings. We're on the same page here. Yeah, I mean, suffocation for 2.5 rounds and then a finish, baby.
Well, isn't that the best thing that can happen for you? Is like the fight ends with like 1 second left with a finish after 14 minutes and 59 seconds of control time.
Damon Jackson landing his 11th takedown in the 5th minute of round 3 and then taking that back and getting the sub.
Isn't that that's what Billy Q did? That's why I loved him against Mowgli. He just like owned him the whole fight, and then he's like a minute left. He's like, okay, I want the 50 points for the finish. I think he put up like 148 that night, 150. He put up a massive.
Oh, a ton. Yeah.
Like he gave me a chance to win the 100K. If not for Misha Tate, like deciding to get like 100 million points, I had it. I was like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, I did. I was not on that. excuse me, next fight, and I know you're excited about this one. Trevin 5-star Jones going against Javid, the Snow Leopard Baccarat, the opposite of Miranda Maverick's terrible nickname. This has got to be the best nickname on the card. The Snow Leopard. I won't hear any negative thoughts about that nickname. Trevin Jones. I'll go ahead and start this one off, and I'll be very quick. I promise. $7,500. Little, I mean, I guess I could be on him a little bit here. He is cheaper than his average salary, scores over 3 points a minute, and over 94 when he wins. So that is not terrible at all. Let's see. Only once though, he is 1-1. So only in his one fight he did score that 94 points. How did he score that? A few striking, less than 1.5 per minute, a big knockdown, and a few takedown and control time points as well. Over 1 point per minute in takedown and control time so far in the UFC. Baccarat, I am very excited about. 8,700. I don't know if this guy is going to be okay. Yeah, all right, good on you. Big checks. You got me there. So yeah, that's up there. 787 for Baccarat. If you put DraftKings scoring in his DWCS fight, he would have scored almost 5 a minute, over 113 points in his win, and shut his opponent down. 0.5 point per minute was scored on him. I absolutely love this. I will be taking a shot on the unproven UFC newcomer in Baccarat, $8,700. Love that salary. I'm going to get him in a bunch of lineups. I'll probably have some Trevin Jones just because who knows what you do against DWCS guys, but I'll be much higher on Baccarat, obviously. Let Lou tell you what he thinks about Baccarat.
So there are 2 wins on the Contender Series last year that were just so gratifying. One is Johnny by God Parsons squeaking out a BS split decision because I had him at like he was at like plus 380, and I know that like, and now knowing that like
you just have to get Johnny Parsons into every episode, which I'm fine with.
I mean, I'm not gonna say I'm the guy using that account on Wheezy's videos, but I'm not.
No one would say that. No one would.
So, and the fact that Wheezy like hates Johnny Parsons kind of makes me love him more. But the other was Baccarat, and if you guys, I'm sure anybody watched this probably knows what led up to it, but Oren Kalin, his opponent, comes in heavy, and then he starts just screaming at Baccarat that he's a terrorist. So Baccarat could have put him away whenever he wanted, and he just tortured this motherfucker like for 14 minutes. He just tortured him, and so that was very satisfying. Now I've watched some of his regional tape. The Dana White Contender Series fight, like is similar to the style he fights. He's got nasty calf kicks. He's so young. He has composure that belies his age. Like, he has a good game plan. He knows good entries. He knows when to mix in the wrestling. I love the finishing balance of the knockouts and subs, the 5 knockouts and the 6 subs, or if it's 6 and 5, I forget. But I love seeing that, especially from a young fighter, that if it means if one thing's not working, like I can easily go to the next. I don't know what to make of Trevin Jones. He's one of these infuriating guys to bet on because he just doesn't do what you want him to do typically. But this guy in every fight, it seems like he's getting his ass kicked, and then like he rises from the dead. He's got great he's got great power. But he does not have a good ground game. Now, if Javid is smart, he takes him down and he just wears him out and he wears him out and he wears him out. I'm admittedly like just love this guy, and I think he's got all the tools to be a major player like in the UFC. So I have Javid minus 150. I have him plus 165 in the distance. I have his sub prop at plus 350. I know I'm sounding like a broken record with these subs, and I have his round 3 sub at plus 1,800. I just cannot resist the round 3 sub. He just got one. His game plan, again, we have a lot of guys that are wrestling heavy against guys that I don't think have awesome cardio. And anytime I see that spot, I love looking at that round 3 sub. I'm not doing this just because I hit the Kyler Phillips round 3 sub, but I'm still playing with that money from the Kyler Phillips round 3 sub.
There you go.
I think he's live for a sub at any time, but he's still making his debut, so there could be a feeling out process in the first round. But I think once he gets his ground game going, he's just going to wear out Trevin Jones. But I suck at betting Trevin Jones fights, so what do I know here?
The only other thing that I have to mention, just because I've never seen this before, if you go to his Tapology page, I'll go back.
Yeah, this is crazy.
Baccarat, this is his Tapology page, fought a guy named John Spencer. Okay, click on John Spencer. Check out his record, 2-48. So red flag. And if you didn't actually think the words red flag, here's an actual red flag. I've never seen this before. This fighter has been found by Tapology to have engaged in activity which does not conform to combat sports standards, has purposely participated in bouts with no reasonable path to victory, displayed a lack of competitive effort, and is unjustifiably matched against far more skilled opponents. I've never seen that before, so I just thought I would share that with you.
I mean,
all.
that's what. First of all, the fact that you're even allowed to fight that many times. Well, that's why he's got flagged. But I mean, I look at these guys that Bellator brings in, and I'm like they're getting paid whatever their bar tab was when they found them. Like that's their pay for the night. It's like we will pay. Like, for all your old granddad at the bar, like
Right.
if you get in the ring with Aaron Pico right now and just let him kick your ass for 2 minutes.
It's like a carnival show almost. It's ridiculous. We will keep it moving on that note. But yeah, I'm also on the Basharat side there. JJ Aldrich going against Jillian Robertson. Let's see here. I'm on the wrong page. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I kind of like Robertson here, $8,500. She does score well for DraftKings, 3.18 points per minute, over 102 points when she wins. Fantastic numbers there, only allowing 2.41 points a minute. That is the 5th best number on the card, and you're also getting her just barely over her average salary by about $336, it looks like. JJ Aldrich, 7,700, scores significantly less than Robertson, 2.44 points a minute, less than 71 points when she wins, guys. This is over 6 wins. She averages 71 points. So no matter who you think is going to win, even if you think rather that JJ Aldrich is going to win, I'm not rostering her at 7,700 at all with that 71 points per win. Not going to happen. Give me Jillian Robertson. I love the $8,500 salary. Her submission skill is probably the best skill in this fight, I would say. So I'm leaning, Robertson by sub here. She does score very well when she wins by sub, 101, almost 102 points, and she's put up over 100 points in 3 of her 7 wins, guys. So I am going to be on the Robertson side. Probably not going to go, to the bank with this DraftKings play for a ton of lineups, but I'm sure I will have her in, around 20%, give or take 5 to 10%. She has made the optimal lineup once out of her last previous 2 fights since the beginning of January 2021. And she does score relatively well in bonus points when she wins, 66 points. That is right around the second round finish mark. So I am loving that here against JJ Aldrich, who I will have none of because of that extremely low DraftKings points per win. What do you got for this one?
We're just going to disagree on a lot of stuff today. I'm not picking a sub prop on this, but while Wonkwikwi and all these guys in chat are talking about nicknames, I would be remiss not to bring up my favorite nickname I found, even if I'm late to the party on this one. Jordan I'm gonna Winsky is like
Jesus
my all-time favorite name. There's like Willie Whip-Ass Gates is probably like my all-time favorite. And there's Dominique Nonstop Action Pack T Steel. And these guys are terrible fighters. These are not guys that they never won, but I'm like, man, I gotta bet this guy. Like, how do I not bet Willie Whip-Ass Gates? And then it was like Willie's getting his ass whooped. Like He's not very good. But yeah, that's wild. These 0-40 guys, 3-88. It's crazy. I'm probably I don't know if I'm gonna get the win on this, but I feel like there's only 2 ways to play it. If you'd like Robertson, you'd like the sub prop. But I'm betting a lot of sub props. So this is probably gonna be the one where I get where the sub happens and I didn't take it. I think Aldrich, she's pretty strong. If she keeps this on the feet, I think she gets an easy decision. I think it's an easy 3 rounds. Just gonna and she's probably not gonna really hurt her. She's all right. But if Robertson doesn't get the wrestling going, and you've seen her in fights when she doesn't get takedowns, she just offers nothing by the late second. So I think Aldrich could just piece her up. Aldrich's decision plus 200 is not bad. I don't think Aldrich's not going to finish here. So, but if you like Robertson, I think the sub props plus 175. There might be a way to middle it. Live, if it depends on if Robertson gets no takedowns in the first, you probably lost your opportunity. But if she's 1 for 3 and maybe a shot at Aldrich, but I don't know. I think the over 2.5. I forget what it was. I have it up right now, but
around minus 140. No, that can't be right. Yeah,
no, the over 2.5. Over 2.5 is minus 140. Now I like that, but. Yeah. But, that, again, if you're taking Robertson, that becomes a very dangerous play. But I think there's some recency bias here, too, with her getting Brady's favorite fighter in the UFC, Cachoeira, submitting her despite getting like thumbed in the face repeatedly. But I think this goes decision. I think the over 2.5 minus 140 is good. I like Aldrich's decision at plus 200, but I don't know that I'm betting this one. I think after all my subs in a row, I may have like a palate cleanser fight. The hoe bag.
Yeah, I was gonna say this can't be a real the hog bag. I was like, what in the fuck?
What a great name.
The hoe bag, even better. So yeah, I'm very low on Aldrich. I mean, even if she wins, I'm not playing her in DraftKings. Let us go to a very interesting fight, in my opinion. Another DWCS guy, AJ Fletcher, $6,900, going against Matthew Semi the Jedi Semmelsberger, $9,300. I think that, long story short, actually, no. Why don't you go ahead and start this one out, Lou?
So this is one of the toughest ones for me. And if you liked Fletcher, the value, I mean, I think he's 160 the last time I looked, but he was over plus 200 early in the week. So if you liked him, that was the time to get on it. I mean, look, you look at their opposition. I mean, Fletcher's fighting nobody on the regionals, and Semmelsberger's fighting Nick Diaz's buddy. And Jason Witt, who like literally just ran into him face first.
I mean, the Santos fight, what the fuck, man?
Now, and the thing with Semmelsberger is he showed some toughness in the Chaos Williams fight. I just want to make sure it's actually the right fight. But he showed some toughness. You know, he showed 3-round toughness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not impressed with his opposition, but I can't hold it against him either. And then I'm not too impressed with Fletcher looks like $1 million. Like he's going to have he has a huge reach disadvantage here. I don't know what to make of this fight. Like I keep flip-flopping back and forth. So I'm going to recommend no bet. Like when in doubt like that, I always lean with the dog, and Fletcher does have some grappling upside.
Yep.
But and Semmelsberger, even on the regional scene, hasn't looked like he's really can stop takedowns. So all things said, if I lean aside, and I'm sure at some point tomorrow I'll be like, the hell with it, I'm betting this fight. I would lean Fletcher. But if the number gets any closer, I don't know if there's any. I think that value's got to be, if it goes below plus 150, I don't think there's any value on taking a newcomer. But I may lay off this one completely. And I could see either guy winning by decision. I could see either guy winning by finish. So I'm kind of not feeling great about this. I'll stick with my plus 1,800. Round 3.
Yeah, there you go.
What do you got for this?
I think Semmelsberger is a bit overpriced. I mean, I'm saying that, but my stats are telling me that he's priced where he should be. 4 points a minute, first on the card, 118 points when he wins out of 3 wins. But like we said, those are two inside the first minute knockout wins where, like you said, the guy's just running into his face first. I don't think Santos should have been anywhere near that fight. Jason Witt, I mean, come on, less than 20 seconds, pretty much, I think. So I don't think that's going to happen for a third time against AJ Fletcher. So if that doesn't happen, what is Matthew Semmelsberger going to score? Well, in his debut against Carlton Minus, he went all 3 rounds, 102 points. So that is not too bad. Did get a knockdown and 2 takedowns in that fight. I just don't know. 9,300 seems like a lot of money to be paying for a guy who I don't even know what his opponent's going to do. Can Semmelsberger stop these takedowns? I mentioned it on the Wednesday show. I did. Yeah, exactly. But can Fletcher take a hit? Who knows? Can Semmelsberger stop a freaking takedown? I don't know. I mentioned on the Wednesday show that he tweeted or texted someone or mentioned that his takedown game needed improvement. So that is not something you would want to hear as a Semmelsberger bettor going against a guy that's probably going to shoot some takedowns in AJ Fletcher. I mean,
we don't know his fight IQ either. That's another question mark. We don't know.
Exactly. I mean,
we're talking about it like it should be the path he takes, but we really don't know.
And that's why I can't roster a ton of $9,300. I'd rather pay $9,200 for Song Yadong, which is more of what I think is I'm not going to say guarantee or lock, but I think it's more towards that direction than Semmelsberger over Fletcher, where literally anything could happen. I mean, Semmelsberger has 4 fights in the UFC. Only 30 minutes, and 2 of those fights, it's 2 fights put together. It's less than 1 minute. So I really don't know. I'm going to be off of Semmelsberger. I might have him in a few lineups for the obvious early knockout possibility, but I like the Fletcher side at 6,900. I'll be looking to use him to fill in some cheap roster spots that's going to allow me to pay up for more for guys like Song. Guys like maybe Sadiq if I felt like it, and whoever else is in the $9,000 range. Even Ankalaev in cash lineups. So that is kind of where I'm at on this one.
I got a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
Who do you like better if you have to roster one to get in your lineup, Fletcher or Mazo?
Fletcher. I think Fletcher. I think
takedown upside.
Takedown upside. I think Mazo's going to be more consistent. I really think that one's going to decision, so she might even end up scoring better in a loss. But definitely the takedown upside for Fletcher. The fact that Semmelsberger hasn't proven himself, in my opinion. But again, he's going against Dana White Contender Series guys. What are we going to learn from him in this fight if he beats Fletcher quickly that we're going to be able to use for next fight? Nothing at all. So I'm kind of just off that. But yeah, that is a good question. I'll probably be pretty close on my draft percentages actually for Fletcher and Mazo, come to think of it. So it might be pretty similar. We will move on. Here's where we start to get a little more exciting. Bruno Silva going against Alex Pereira. Bruno Silva, $7,300. I'll go ahead and start this one. 3.5 points a minute for Silva. Scores 96 when he wins. So a pretty good score. 19 wins by knockout. 19 out of 22 wins. So if you didn't know about Bruno Silva, he will knock you out. That's pretty much his path to victory in every fight. I mean, looks like a brick shit house, has power in both hands. Alex Pereira, if you didn't know, which I'm sure you do, is the guy that beat Izzy in the kickboxing scene, blah, blah, blah. He's 4-1 professionally, 1-0 in the UFC where he took a round off and then just turned it on for 28 seconds and smashed Andres Michailidis in his last fight in the UFC. 3.27 points per minute. But taking that round off really cost him in DraftKings only 87 points in that win. Guys, $8,900, you're getting 87 points. That is not going to cut it for optimal lineup. I don't know what to do here. I'm going to have a decent amount of Bruno Silva for sure. All he has to do is get one takedown or try to control Pereira and get him to the ground one time. And I think he's got a good chance of just suffocating and winning the fight here. Pereira has to have no ground game whatsoever. We'll talk to the line. I'll talk about the lines here in a minute, but some of them seem way off to me. Pereira seems a bit too expensive unless you know he's going to knock out Bruno Silva, who has had problems with strikers before. So I am going to have to play Pereira at $8,900. I do not like that salary. I don't like how much it is. It is $200 less than his previous salary against Michailidis. But if this doesn't end in a first-round knockout, you're throwing that $8,900 salary right out the window. So I'm going to have to roster both sides of this fight. I'm going to be pretty even probably on my exposure. I was going to say more Silva, but that might just be crazy. I might be pretty even as far as DraftKings exposure here. I mean, this shit is minus like a 700 to finish inside the distance. What do you think here? I think I know which way you're leaning.
Well, you can't unless you want to parlay it. The time props are out because they're so
Right.
heavily juiced. Like, I mean, I think it was even fight doesn't start round 3 is like minus 320. I mean, it's just you can't even. These aren't. They're just unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
So I went back and forth this one all week because I mean, I like what I see in the tape of Fajeda in terms of the striking. Like the guy's legit striker, but he's not kickboxing anymore. And Michailidis, if he was, a better fighter, just would have kept pinning him down. I mean, he did nothing
Right.
and I had Fajeda in the distance in that fight. I was starting to freak out. I think I had him round 1, round 2 on DraftKings. And he just did nothing. He offered nothing in the first round. And yeah, Silva allegedly has wrestling in his back pocket. Allegedly. And not like a Norm thing where it's allegedly, but also really. He's putting up videos from like years ago. He's like, look, I trained in like 1998. I took somebody down in practice. I'm like, all right. So the thing is so Silva can do that. And if he does, he's not going to be like Michailidis just trying to pin him down. He's going to try to ground and pound him. Like he's going to if he takes him down, he is going to just hurt this man. And I think he wins easily. But the thing, now you look at the flip side. So Silva's last 3 fights have all been fun. And he's been in a little bit of trouble in all of them. But why has he been in trouble? Beverly Hills Ninja, just if he hits you once, that dude has some serious power. He has no chin, but he's power.
Yep.
Turman and Sanchez went to the wrestling. And they neutralized him. Well, I don't think
Pereira's not
he doesn't have that to worry about here.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think if Silva stays on the feet with Fajeda, it's probably not a great idea. But there's not as big a difference in the striking as there is with Silva's alleged ground game and Fajeda's completely non-existent ground game. So, I mean, I'm siding with Silva. I'm taking him in the distance at plus 200. There's no reason not to take him in the distance. If he wins by decision, like, okay, like if we get like a Russian ref in there, just like refuses to stop it, like, all right. Now, one of the trendy bets I've been seeing all week is the Silva submission prop at plus 1,600, which is crazy because the decision prop is plus 900. And
right.
Okay, like, sure. So I don't know. I mean, look, is it worth $5? Can I throw away $5 on it? Probably. But does it have a chance of hitting is the question. And like, I don't love it in terms of, I think if Silva does get the takedown, it's ground and pound all day because I just think that's his nature. Like going for subs, unless it's a verbal tap, like if you want to bet the sub, like I don't, you had me at plus 1,600. I'll back your play. I just think Silva in the distance plus 200 is nice. If you want to get like really fun, you can look at DraftKings has an alternate under half a round at like plus 300, which is, I don't think I've ever seen an under half. I think like the Tafa Hunsucker fight was like that too, but you don't see it that often at that like only plus 300. But I mean, if this is a one-shot fight, I don't see. I mean, and then you're just rooting for like the craziest 2.5 minutes you've ever seen. But Silva in the distance is the official play. I don't know if I'm going to get to the sub prop, but I'm looking at it. It might depend on how the earlier bets go, and I'm like, I'll take a chance.
True. The last thing I'll mention about this, which stands out to me, Silva, like you said, by submission, around plus 1622. Fajeda by submission, plus 1711. What is that? How are these even comparable? Like, has Alex Pereira ever even sat on the ground? Like, do we even know that for sure? I just don't understand that line whatsoever, but I digress. Let's keep it moving. Drew Dober. This one promises to be exciting as well. Drew Dober going against the short notice Terrence McKinney. I believe Drew Dober was supposed to fight Rick Story or Rick Glenn. I don't remember.
Rick Glenn.
Rick Story.
Definitely not. He was not supposed to fight Rick Story.
No, definitely not. 13 days notice here, or right around there actually. Why don't you go ahead and start this one off? What do you see in here that jumps out at you?
So I have been like huge McKinney guy. He's cashed me 2 big tickets. I had him round 1 against Frivola. I had him by sub last fight. I had him by round 2 sub last fight. Also, I told him on Twitter, like, it would be nice if he could have just skirted around for a few minutes before he got the sub. By the way, his Twitter game is like totally, that dude's on point.
He's on it.
He's a star on there. So all that being said, I really hate this matchup for him. I know Dober has had some issues with guys going for takedowns. I just don't like the multiple weight cuts. And I don't like the multiple weight cuts in such a short time. And look, we've seen this trend lately with people. They look like world beaters one week and they take a fight a week or two later. You know, like Moicano might not fight for 9 months, a year. He might never be the same. You know, like Loopy looked terrible. Like, I mean, Hooker lost to Makhachev. Green looked terrible again to Makhachev. So like,
oh yeah,
you forgive those, but like I always say it, if you're taking a fight on 2 weeks' notice, it means you're not just getting a short camp. You're fighting a better opponent. You're not coming in to fight somebody who's worse ever.
Nope.
So here's the question. McKinney's cardio has always been a question mark. Like people have been questioning it, and you never know because it never gets out of the first round. His cardio is going to be even more of a question mark here with the weight fluctuation. And I think Dober's the kind of guy that can hang in there for a round. And if he does, I mean, Dober historically, like, yeah, he gets finished, but he can hang on the ground at least long enough. He can last. So I'm going to take Dober to get it done at plus 130 in the distance. I'm going to play not a sub prop. I'm going to play his round 2 KO prop at plus 600. I think, I don't know if Brady or Weezy was on that in the company parlay.
I think maybe, I don't remember.
It was one of the two of them, Brady or Weezy had Dober round 2 knockout. I think that's his. I mean, he could get McKinney out of there in the first, but I'm going to assume if it plays like the script that makes logical sense to me, it's going to be McKinney either spamming takedowns or exhausting the tank to get him out of there. That fight starts the second round. I just don't know what McKinney's going to have to offer. Even if he didn't have, the historical cardio issues, it's just such a tough ask to do this on such short notice. So, okay. Well, Weezy's giving away our later pick that I'm gonna have on the
spoiler
broadcast here on the Uncle Hogram program.
You want to tell us how Batman ends, Wheezy?
Yeah.
So all right.
Well, I got on that.
I'm just cracking myself up for no reason here. Drew Dober, $9,000, guys. I'm going to be probably on both sides of this fight. The 9,000 and 7,200 are my absolute. I already said that about 86. So second favorite salaries to play. The 7,200, especially one of the best dog salaries according to probabilities that you could possibly play. I like the Dober side for the same reasons you said. He scores well as well, over 3 points per minute, 98 points per win. What fight are we on? 10th fight of the night. I knew it. The best statistical fight to play. I know some of our viewers love when I talk about fight order probabilities, but the 10th fight, someone from that fight makes the optimal lineup 65.22% of the time. That is first overall by a mile, like by 10, maybe 20 points almost. So you should really play the 10th fight, and the fact they gave us McKinney Dober is just perfect, especially with that $7,200 salary for McKinney. He has made the optimal lineup in both of his fights in the UFC, scoring over 8 points a minute so far, 111 per win. I'm going to be, like I said, on both sides of this. I think the longer it goes, the better it goes for Dober. He can be finished, but if you're not subbing him, he is difficult to knock out, I should say. Even against Makhachev, sorry for scrolling all over, Makhachev, round 3 sub, so it did take him a little bit. I mean, he got his ass whooped, don't get me wrong, but he did hang in there for over 10, 11 minutes. You're going to have to play McKinney, obviously. You can't throw out 8 points a minute, first round knockouts, first round finish, some wrestling upside, especially when Drew Dober is susceptible to takedowns and control time, allowing, let's see, what is that, 1.17 points per minute in takedowns and control time alone, and even gives up some reversals as well. So I'm going to be on both sides of this fight. I'll probably be pretty even on my exposure. 9,000 is an interesting tier this week to play. There's a few fighters I don't like at all, and there's a few that I'm just kind of mid on. I'm not all the way on any of them except with maybe Song Yadong coming up here in a few fights. So I'll have a bunch of McKinney. I'll have some of Dober, but that's 7,200, man. I mean, you get a guy with first round knockout potential, 8 points a minute, and you're getting him under his average salary. I'm all over that one.
It just feels very trappish to me this week.
It does. That's the other thing. It's a trap.
And I'll say this too, like if you are on the McKinney side, which and I don't blame you for taking McKinney, like he's exciting. This is another really good. You don't know how wise Vegas is going to be to it, but this is another really good live betting spot because if it does go to the second round, you're guessing that McKinney had a lot of success in the first.
Yep.
And you might get Dober at a really nice price. You could even at that point, you could middle it and like guarantee. I mean, you might get, if you have McKinney in the distance or something, you might be able to fire on Dober and like guarantee profit one way or the other. So, and like you're just fading a decision at that point. But at the very least, like it's worth to look what Dober's number is going to be after one. Because if it's anything plus odds, I'd be interested in maybe a little padding there.
And just because I said I would on YouTube, I forgot one of the commenters, and I'm sorry I didn't write your name down. You wanted to know some salary voodoo about this fight. So super quick, the $9,000 salary makes the optimal lineup 33% of the time. It has a 61.9% win rate, so very low for such a big salary. 61.9% win rate, lower than I was thinking. When it does win, however, it makes the optimal in 53.85% of those wins. The $7,200 salary, one of my favorites, makes the optimal 27.9% of the time, 37.21% win rate. So one of the higher win rates in that low of a dog salary. And when it does win, it makes the optimal lineup in 75% of those wins. It also scores 97.43 points per win, which is 0.13 points more than the $9,000 salary averages. So there you go. Wanted to get that in there for our commenter here, and we will keep it moving. Khalil Roundtree Jr. going against Carl Baby K Roberson. I'll go ahead and start this one out. I'm going to have to play this fight. I'm going to be forced to because I think Roberson in this, somehow has a path to victory that involves a finish. So I'm going to be playing the finish upside for Roberson. Khalil Roundtree has a terrible pace, 2.58 points a minute, but he scores 107 points when he wins, guys, and that's over 5 wins. Again, at $8,000, you're getting a pretty big upside as far as DraftKings points goes there. He puts up, in over 100 in 4 of his 5 wins. He scored over 90 in all of them, Khalil Roundtree. Roberson, on the other hand, got to be a record. 4 UFC losses, all 4 by sub in the first round. If there's one thing we know about Khalil Roundtree, he's not going to submit you. So Roberson does not have to worry about being submitted, in my opinion. Does not score very well, just over 80 points per win. I am going to be playing, I don't know, both sides of this, I guess. Probably under the field on both, though. I guess maybe more Roberson just for the possible submission upside over Roundtree. I feel like if he gets this to the ground, he's got a good chance of winning some minutes, control time minutes, I should say, and possibly getting a submission there, which he does have a few of those under his belt. 4 out of his 9 wins coming by way of sub, but he just doesn't score well. So I'll probably be playing both sides, but I'll probably be under the field as well. What do you think about this one?
It's crazy. Like the Roundtree fight where he kept knocking Anders down, and he looked great. He only scored 105 in that fight. You would have thought he would have put up such a bigger number with that many knockdowns. Frivola outscored
4 knockdowns.
Frivola had 4 knockdowns in a round, but I don't know why that ref kept letting go. Okay, I don't have much analysis on this fight. I don't like either guy. I don't like betting either guy. My lean is Roberson. I don't like that both their names seem like they're missing a letter. I don't like the way, I don't like Roundtree's face. He just looks like, and that leads to the real bet. It's what you came for.
Oh, shit.
This is the yam bag bet.
Yes.
I'm betting a point deduction. Roundtree looks like he enjoys kicking somebody right in the testicles. And Roberson looks like he is here for it. So I wish I could even bet who's going to commit the point deduction, but I'm taking my 20-1 shot here. Let's see if I can do it 2 weeks in a row. I probably won't hit one for the rest of the year, and I don't care. And I don't really care.
You don't need to.
Look, all I had to do was hit 1 out of my first 20 to justify the prop. So if I hit another one, I'm paid for the year on this prop. I think that's a good point deduction fight. That typically I don't like doing a point deduction fight where I don't see any grappling because you're getting the cage grab foul out of there, which is an instant point if it's any kind of ref that's not Herb Dean. But
I smacks your hand.
But eye pokes are there, and Lord, if an oblique kick goes wrong, that could end Roberson's marriage. So I'm just playing a point deduction. I got nothing else to add in this, but my lean is Roberson, and there's no way I'm taking a side in this. I don't even want to take a time prop. Roberson's never been knocked out, and Roundtree has no cardio. So
yeah,
you may be able to. That's another one you may be able to live bet. I know a couple people last fight with Roundtree were waiting to live bet him round 2 when his cardio traditionally fails. I didn't. I thought he looked pretty fresh starting the second against. Was it Bukowskis? I can't. The guy he injured for life here.
Yep,
it was Bukowskis. So, it's you judge how he looks. If he looks like maybe he's fading, but I don't see there's gonna be no takedowns from him, and that's what Roberson struggled with in his career. If anything, Roberson would get the takedowns, but I don't think he has great fight IQ, so we don't know that he's gonna do it. I just don't like a side here. I like the balls being kicked. And I know that last week, if there's one foul before they take a point, I'm gonna get messages from Eric and MMA Asphalt and our group just being come on,
here
man.
it comes.
One more shot. Hit him with take the point, you son of a bitch.
One of my houses just wondering I'm cheering for someone to get kicked in the dick.
That was the most hilarious 10-minute, 5-minute round ever because it took so long. because they had to be like, all right. And then, the announcer's being like, he's going to take a point. And I'm like, you bet. He's like,
you better.
It's a hard warning. And it's like, dude, stop with the warnings.
Exactly. That doesn't do any of us any good.
Ugh. You tell him 9 times. And they tell him before they go out there, like, is he like, I didn't know I couldn't fight like this. Like, I didn't know.
Yeah, the Dave Chappelle, I didn't know I couldn't do that.
Ugh.
Alex Caceres going against Super Sadiq Youssef. How do you feel about this one here?
This is another one I don't think I'm betting. I don't
like a tough one.
I think the line is too wide. It got away. Youssef's minus 265 last night, like when I checked a few hours ago. I know Caceres is on a winning streak, and I know like it's hard not to like Bruce Leroy. It's like this is just a card of amazing nicknames. Bruce Leroy is always at the top of the heap.
Fantastic.
But you look at the guys he's beaten in this winning streak, and it's like, I mean, I'm very surprised he got a finish last time, but he beat Steven Peterson, who like is all right. Yeah. I mean, he's not beating world beaters on this streak. Like Chase Hooper is just shown,
Springer,
he's very limited. He's very limited. Like now, again, you can only beat the guys in front of you. So like, good on him, and good that he came with a finish. Like this is the last guy that he faced that I would consider good was in 2016. It was Yair Rodriguez.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't think Jason Knight's good, but like Rodriguez, and that was Rodriguez like young into his career. This is going to be the best guy he's faced in 6 years. And Youssef's striking is no joke. And his cardio is good. But I just don't like the price. And like Caceres, like he's been subbed. Like that seems to be one of his weaknesses.
A bunch.
But Youssef's not going for subs. I know and I've seen people that are all about the Youssef prop this week, the sub prop this week. But I wouldn't even take the prop if it was like he's attempting a sub. Because it's just he just doesn't have any interest in grappling at all.
Right.
Like it's not like a guy who has grappling that doesn't have subs like a Kyler Phillips, like or like allegedly Silva. This is a guy who just doesn't have any grappling and doesn't care about it. So I mean he's a parlay piece at best.
He has attempted 2 submissions in the UFC, supposedly.
Bullshit he has.
They say.
Stop. When? I want to know. So he's a parlay piece at best, but I got nothing on this one. What about you? And this is probably a tough fight this might be a stay away for you, I'm thinking, but we'll see.
I was all over Sadiq Youssef beginning of the week. But that 90, I'm day by day, I'm getting lower and lower on him. But I'm not raising my stake on Caceres either. I do think Sadiq wins this fight. I think he's probably going to win by decision. And I don't think he's going to score very well. He does have a decent pace, 3.17 points per minute, but only scoring 93.31 points in a win. I don't know if that's going to be good enough at $9,100 to make the optimal lineup. And in fact, when he wins by unanimous decision, 77.21 points, I'm going to be pretty low on Youssef, I think. And I've said this guy's name 14 times already, and we haven't even talked about him yet. Pretty much 3 out of 4 places I'd like to play Youssef, I'll just play Song Yadong instead for $100 more. I think that's pretty much my plan. Youssef needs a finish to get a good score historically, and Caceres is not that guy, man. Caceres, well, lately anyways, he does get sub finish, like you said. Only been knocked out, TKO'd 1 time. That's kind of what I meant. Youssef's not going to be subbing him. He's not going to be going for takedowns, even though he supposedly has 2 submissions in the UFC, whatever. I think this one is definitely going to go to decision, and no matter who wins, I think neither one is going to make the optimal lineup. I'll probably have more Youssef than Caceres because I just don't think Caceres has much of a chance here, but I'm going to be very low on Youssef and much higher on the next guy that we're about to talk about. Marlon Moraes going against Song Yadong. I'll go ahead and start this because I can't stop talking about the guy apparently. $9,200 for Song. He is probably my highest, not in cash, but in tournament plays, my highest salaried fighter, I think. 9,200, 3.09 points per minute, 93 per win. Does not sound like a lot, but that 105.6 per knockout TKO win going against Marlon Moraes, who's pretty much at this point a guaranteed knockout. You know, if he's going to lose the fight, 4 out of his last 5, he's lost all by first or second round knockout. Actually, Cejudo finished him in the 3rd, so I shouldn't say that. But I really like Song
to play with his food, though.
Yeah, that's true. but still a third round knockout would be nice. Song can take a punch. He can take a kick. He's a tough son of a bitch. He's coming in, $500-600 more than his average salary. I'm really liking the Yadong play. I think he can take whatever Moraes is going to throw at him, and I think Moraes is going to not be able to keep up with the pace that Song is about to put on. Team alpha male fighter. He's been there for several fight camps now. He's improving steadily over every single fight. There is no reason for me to not think that Song Yadong won't have a fantastic fight here. I'm going to be rostering him in a ton of lineups. I'm probably not going to be on Moraes at all in GPPs. Maybe a little bit if I'm playing like a 150 max, maybe I'll have some of him, but because I do like that $7,000 salary, but I'm just not liking the matchup against Song Yadong. I think he's too tough. I think he's too good, and I think the pace is going to be too heavy for Moraes. What do you got for this one?
I mean, I think you nailed everything. I think Moraes is shot, and I think Yadong is steadily improving. I know, like, he looked great against Arce, but I was really impressed with the win against Kenny because it was a stylistically bad matchup for him, and he kept it on the feet as much as he could. He looked great in the striking. He's tough. He's learning. Like, he's mature for his age. I mean, and people like Moraes, it's still dangerous. Look, you never, that power is not going away, but the cardio is done and the chin is done. And I have Yadong in the distance at -110. You could take him round 1, round 2, but I think it's like +110 to do that. So I don't really think you may as well give yourself the whole third round for that if it's not a big jump. And then the round 2 KO, I took at +500. I don't know what it is now. I got that in yesterday, but that was the Uncle Weezy special for the company play. What I did not mention, by the way, is our plays for the company play. You had Robertson sub.
Yeah, I was like
at +800. And in a rarity, and probably never happen again, I took the one with the best odds.
True.
It never happens, but I have the Javid sub at +350 to go along with the Donger round 2 knockout and Dober round 2 knockout as the engine round robin. But I got nothing else to add on this. I think.
Do we have a sponsor for that round robin?
Oh yeah, this is sponsored by Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage this week.
Yes, we got him. It took a lot. We got him.
Be massaged, or you want something fried? Jones Barbecue and Foot Massage got you covered. And I got nothing else. I just and I don't know how many lineups I'm going to do this week, but I'd be curious to know how owned Moraes is, being a name that people are going to still think has like that first round upside. I guess you have to say he does have first round knockout upside, but
true.
It's starting to be more and more fleeting. And
Song is so tough.
And I know Moraes is fighting like world beaters too. Like, I get it, but it's getting Yadong is like going to be right up there. And if this is a step down, if it's a step down, it ain't much of a step down.
True.
So.
Oh, I completely agree. And with that,
we made it to the main event.
We made it. Main event, as Lou said, Thiago Maheta Santos going against Magomed Ankalaev. I'll go ahead and start this one, Lou, because I am going to keep it short. I love Ankalaev to win the fight. I like Ankalaev to win inside the distance, probably earlier rather than later. He scores well, almost 4 a minute, 96 points per win. He is too expensive to play in tournaments, guys. I will only be rostering Magomed Ankalaev in cash. I might have 10% of him in GPPs, maybe, but I learned my lesson last week from Umar Nurmagomedov. I had way too much of him, and he scored very well. A first-round submission over Brian Kelleher, and then 1 or 2 dogs decided to win, which happens almost every single week, and they scored over 100 points. And Nurmagomedov at 9,600 was right the fuck off of the optimal lineup, and I was left holding bags, bro. Holding like 35% Nurmagomedov in my hands with nothing to do, wasted salary. So this week, I'm going to try to learn thing or two about that. And I'm going to really lower my exposure on Ankalaev to about 10% probably. Like I said, if any underdogs win, he's right off the optimal. Santos does score well when he wins, historically 101 points per UFC win. But lately it has been rough. I mean, he beat Johnny Walker, but what is that saying these days? Lost to Rakic, Teixeira, and John Jones. So he has been losing to killers, and actually the John Jones loss, I shouldn't say lost, Everyone knows who won that goddamn fight. But he did also beat Jan Blachowicz before, in 2019, I should say. Ankalaev wins over Uzdemir Krylov, Jan Kutalaba twice, and Dalcha, who is also fighting on this card. I don't know what else I can say, man. I like Ankalaev to win. Do you see the size of this man standing against Thiago Santos? It's crazy how big this guy is. I think he's going to have no problem with the 38-year-old Santos, almost 9 years older. And again, Ankalaev, too expensive to roster for tournaments. I'm big fading him this week, but for cash, I'm big upping him and mixing him with Mazo or Fletcher, one of those two. What do you got for this one?
I mean, the first thing you got to talk about here is the line, and is the line wide? Is it not wide? And look, I had Ankalaev in the distance against Uzdemir, and he had like a couple of moments, but for the most part, he was content to just be patient, pitter patter, not really go for a kill shot. And if he fights that way against Santos, it's going to be, I don't think that's the best possible outcome for Santos. Yep. He wants a slow chess match. At his age, his injury history, that benefits him. If I'm Ankalaev, going for the wrestling, not like rushing in and striking, but putting on a pace early to just get Santos worn out is the smart thing. It seems like he's got a good game plan. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't, if you're going to bet him, the in the distance, I think was even money.
Pretty much.
The over-under for this fight is interestingly lined, though. It's over 3.5, which is a fun number. So I don't have my fight metrics for all main events that have that total. I'm just going off of my own personal gambling history. Every time I see that number, I take the round 3, round 4 prop because that number is set for it's plus 600.
Oh, okay.
And that number is set for a very specific reason on weird fights. And so I'm just going off my past history. I think the plus 600 for Ankalaev to get him out of there in rounds 3 or 4 is worth it. If you want to put a round 3 knockout, round 4 knockout separately, I think it was 1,000 and 1,900 respectively.
Jesus.
But you don't need to get cute with that 600. I think that's good enough. I don't think he gets him out in the first. I think Santos is still a crafty vet. And then MMA math is not an exact, you don't use it. You try not to use it, but compare Ankalaev to Rakic. Are they compare their skill sets? Not the matchups themselves to Santos, but how high. It depends on how highly you value Rakic, because I know some people kind of think he's he's been good, but he's not super impressive, and other people think he's going to be the champion, and it depends on where you rank him to say well, Santos hung in there with him the whole fight, and he lost decision, but didn't get put away, and that
was a very close fight.
It was a very close fight. So is Ankalaev really bringing that much more talent? The line to me is wild, but which makes it unbettable, just a money line. I wouldn't even pad a parlay with it.
No,
but
I'd be too scared.
If you like Ankalaev, in the distance really brings it down. And he's got the grappling, and if he'd be smart to use it early, he doesn't use it a ton, but it'd be smart to use it early in this fight. I think Santos could be a sitting duck by the end of the second, beginning of the third. So That's where I'm on that. That's going to be one of those things I'm going to monitor the line before I put a bet in. I have nothing on it at the moment, but it's either Ankalaev in the distance or a round prop or nothing. And it's the main event. So I'm betting something because I got to wait a week to bet it. I mean, look, I'll probably have a soccer bet 12 hours from that point. So I'll be all right. So, and by the way, I know this is a MMA show, but if you guys are feeling some DGen soccer, start following my Twitter, because this week I've been I'm on a nice little run this week.
Fire.
Some Netherlands. I had some Netherlands stuff today I didn't post, but one of my games got abandoned. The power went out in the stadium.
Oh, Jesus.
It went out before the game, and then it went out at halftime. They're like, the hell with it. They just canceled the game. So I'm like, all right, it's a push.
There you go.
So, well, that's all I got for the main event, my man.
Sounds good. Well, guys, we did it. I mean, me and Lou broke down all 14 fights. You got some good lines, some good odds to go play. Hopefully some good DraftKings advice as well. as far as constructing lineups, which I need to do in the next few hours. I'm gonna get myself some. I'm gonna treat myself to a little Ninja Turtle Friday. I'm gonna get some pizza. I'm gonna put on a movie or something, and then I'm just gonna hang out with my rat friend for a while, and maybe he'll teach me a couple things about philosophy. But from there, anyways, clearly I do need to eat something because I'm rambling. But Lou, where can they find you? What do you got going on? Tell the people what they need to know.
I'm making tacos, by the way. My girlfriend just held out like ground beef, and I'm like, okay, let's go.
Nice.
Sure. They can find me at Lou Betya at Twitter. They can also follow us at MMA_engine for our site product updates. We are getting very close. We are getting everything in QA. Just putting a nice little pretty face on it. Putting some neat tools that I found on the site for the design, and you can always hit me up, and I will be ranting and if there is a foul in one of the fights that I have bet for yam bags, you will follow my Twitter and see me losing my goddamn mind like a maniac, and hopefully you'll find it humorous. What about you, Monk?
You can find me
you
at MonkMMATics, spelled just like I always pick the wrong hand. Just right there at MonkMMATics on Twitter. Follow that same name on YouTube, guys. I release a DraftKings video every Tuesday, right about 2:30, a dentist's favorite time. Going over all the DraftKings stats that you need to know to help construct your lineups. Check that out. The Wednesday DraftKings show with the boys, Wheezy, Brady, and Luke on Pub Sports Radio. Go ahead and check that out. We gave some crazy lineups last week. Check out our lineups this week before the fights kick off. Other than that, man, MMA Engine, guys, go give it a follow on Twitter. We better have triple-digit followers by the time I check it after this, or I'm going to be upset. MMA Engine, follow it on Twitter, follow us on YouTube. We got tons and tons of content coming your way, guys. Gambling related, DFS related, anything MMA related you can think of, we are doing it over there. So please give a follow and like and subscribe, or like this video and subscribe to the channel again. Luke, you got anything else? That's it, man.
He's called me
did
Luke.
It.
You
Chat,
call me Luke.
Luke. I did Luke. I just said Luke when I was talking about.
Like my joke is that
DFS.
my joke is like when I watch the Wednesday show, I'm like, oh, it's everybody but me. Like,
I think I called him Lou earlier, so
Luke is
Luke is I had to even it out. And actually, I don't want to leave without thanking the chat. You guys make this extremely fun to do. I really appreciate you being in here. Thank you all. Please hit that like and enjoy the fights this weekend. I got nothing else. And as usual, I want you all to enjoy the fights. So enjoy. We will see you next time. Peace out, guys.
Take care.